Hello everybody, my name is KingStix, and today we're going to be looking at a tank jungler who is at least in the top 5 strongest tank junglers in League of Legends right now, Sejuani. I used to play a lot more Sejuani jungle back in late season 7. She was a little bit stronger then. She's received a couple of nerfs since then, which have made her a lot less tanky in her early clears. She will be taking quite a bit of damage in her first clear especially, which is why I'm running Fleet of Footwork. This isn't that uncommon. It's about 13% of the time Sejuani will take this. You'll see it more in higher elo because in higher elo, you're more likely to get counter jungled by the enemy jungler, and the lower on health you are, the easier you are to kill. Granted, Fleet of Footwork isn't that useful in the late game for Sejuani, but in the early and mid game, it's gonna really help her get past that slump she has because she does take a lot of damage from her jungle in the early game. To maintain health in the jungle, it's important to use your W property, auto attack first, then W. As you saw, I just canceled all of the wolves auto attacks while getting off a free one myself. By opening up with an auto attack, I trigger the wolves to attack me, and then by using my W, right as the wolves are about to attack me, my W will push them all backwards and reset their auto attacks. I did smite the wolves because I'm trying to get to my red as fast as possible. I figured Nidalee would try something like this. It's not uncommon for Sejuani to do blue Gromp wolves and do a full clear, or to do blue Gromp red. That's what the Nidalee was apparently anticipating. She came up. Luckily, I didn't do the greedy path. I was doing the fastest path possible, which is blue wolves, then my red buff. Whenever you are fighting an early game jungler like Nidalee, Lee Sin, Jarvan, always do the faster clear on Sejuani. A full clear will get you counter jungled and killed. Since Nidalee did invade me right after doing red buff, I know she's going to be behind on her clear, so even though I'm a little low on health, I feel comfortable with doing the scuttle crab. Jarvan's pushed up quite a bit. I want to come up behind him. I'm not going to use my gap closer, which is my Q, until I need to use it. Going to walk up to him, use my W, stay on him with auto attacks, E, and then once he is stunned and has no way to dodge or dash my Q, I then use it. It's really risky opening up with your Q because if they flash or dodge, you're kind of screwed. You typically only open up with it if you know their flash is down or if they're already CC'd. I have high health and smite up. I want to come into this jungle, see if she's here. She foolishly tries to fight me. I open up with the W, auto attack, Q her, E, finish off the kill. Even though she did miss her flash, she would have died from my red buff burn like what you saw there, even if she did flash the wall. So it was a well played kill by my part. Jarvan's coming in. I want to smite this for extra health. I Q into him, canceling his jump, start attacking him. He did take ignite, which really surprised me. Fortunately, Tryndamere is going to finish off the kill, so there really is no milk spilled here. He's going to get the double buffs. With taking the blue buff and getting a kill on Nidalee, assist on Jarvan, I now have a pretty big gold lead over Nidalee, about a whole item. She can no longer 1v1 me unless I'm really low on health, and I can start abusing her. I see her in her blue left side jungle. I want to match her since I'm ahead. I see her moving towards mid. I'm going to move towards mid. She goes in on me foolishly. I W auto attack E, auto attack. I'm saving my Q for when she jumps. I jump into her, canceling her auto on the plant. I keep autoing her. I throw out my W. I guessed wrong. She could have really juked it if I threw it the other way anyways, since it was awkward pathing in the jungle. Yasuo is dead, and Nidalee had to recall since she's low on health. Now is a pretty good time to take Infernal. There's no one to really contest it. If bot lane comes, we can just turn on to them and kill them. Overall, a really free dragon. Gonna go ahead and take Scuttle before I back, since Sejuani takes Scuttles pretty much instantly with her E. I see the enemy bot lane's pushed up. Unfortunately, this is warded, so they reacted pretty soon to me coming. I knocked Lissandra up to close the distance. Since I didn't come up behind her, I didn't have much of a choice. I had to open up with my Q, auto attack W. They do get away because my bot lane doesn't follow up very well. If we had our ultimates, it would have definitely been a kill, but since we're all level 5, we really couldn't do much there. Sejuani is really reliant on trying to get off as many auto attacks and landing both parts of her W. Therefore, she can land her stun very easily, which is why you typically want to go for blue smite and Sejuani. If you can't really gank anything, going for Tracker's Knife is also a good option. Definitely the slow smite is going to be the way to go. Yasuo is pushing up, just going to walk up behind him. Gonna open up with my W. I don't have to throw out my Q yet. I smite him, Q him, auto attack E, auto attack while he's frozen to get off the big damage and walk away. Very quick kill. I'm going to help Vladimir now push the lane. That way Yasuo will miss as many minions as possible. Plus I can leech a little bit of XP and gold off of it. We have a fairly healthy wave. In hindsight, I should have stayed because Nidalee most likely would have defended the turret. And since my ultimate is up, we could have easily dived her and killed her instantly. Greedy by my part. I want to do my raptors in red. Yasuo is back in lane. I'm looking for a gank. My ultimate is up. We can just take him down again. I know his flash isn't up, so I can easily open up with my Q. And while he's stunned, I'll use my ultimate. That way he can't wind wall it. While he is stunned, I'll auto attack W, keep auto attacking him while tanking the turret. Me and Vladimir kill him once again, putting Yasuo thus farther behind. And everyone knows there's nothing more useless than a behind Yasuo or a behind assassin high burst champion in general. Yasuo doesn't have much CC or utility other than his damage, and since we are putting him behind, he's not going to have much room to scale into the mid or late game since we are snowballing this pretty hard. Enemy bot lane is pushing really hard. Tristana is level 6, Leona isn't. We could probably get a kill out of this. I'm going to open up with Q to knock into Lissandra. I don't want to be able to use her dash, which is why I opened up with Q auto attack W. I was trying to shut her down as fast as possible. That way she couldn't get away. My Q is about to be up and my flash is up. I went in for the dive. My team didn't follow me up at all. They completely pushed out. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done it since I didn't have any armor. If I had an armor item, I would have been able to take more turret shots. Plus, since I'm not on voice chat with these guys, I can't really communicate with them and be like dive, dive, dive. Overall, it was a bad move on my part. I should have just taken the kill and left. Sejuani has a lot of initial armor magic resist from her passive, which is why it's very common to actually see her go for Warmog's second item after Cinderhulk, which is what I'm doing right now. We've already taken down mid turret, so me and Vladimir are going to rotate top. There's no reason of staying mid. Our minions will push on their own at this point. The enemies are coming to fight us foolishly. We're fighting 3v4. I'm just going to start killing the front line. Nidalee and Yasuo are on the run. Meanwhile, Lissandra foolishly goes in. Auto attack frees her. Vladimir is really fed. He can easily push them off while the Herald breaks turret. We're going to move on to this turret now. Ezreal and Yasuo can't really stop us. Q into Ezreal, W, smite, auto attack, freeze, auto attack. My W glitches out here and it doesn't actually show, but I kill him with it. It was really funny. Auto attack the Yasuo, freeze him as soon as possible to try to save Vladimir. Vladimir had blood pool anyway, so it doesn't matter. Whenever you are auto attacking someone, especially if you have a melee teammate, make sure you're spamming the E button on the person that you're getting the E passive stacks on. That way you'll freeze them as soon as possible. It will save your life or teammate's life at some point. It's the same thing you'll see with Yasuo players tapping their R button whenever they feel like their teammate is about to do a knockup. We just took 2 turrets and got several kills. I feel safe taking this buff. No one can really contest it. Having blue on Sejuani is very nice. She has a lot of health, but typically you'll run out of mana in a fight or before a fight, which can cripple you. So having blue buff is great. Notice my positioning as we break this turret. I'm standing in front, so if anyone walks up, I can just ult them, W, and as they're coming out of the stun, knock them up with my Q, like with what you saw to that Lissandra there. Really foolish of her to walk up. She's super squishy and not very mobile, so when I do throw my ultimate, she has no real way of getting out of the way unless her flash is up. I have 3k gold. I want to back and get my Warmog. Here I make a really big mistake. I buy the Warmog and then start buying armor. I haven't met the 2750 threshold for the Heart of the Warmog passive, which gives you insane passive health regeneration. If I would have just bought 1 ruby crystal after the Warmog, I would have had it, or if I had taken the resolve tree instead of the precision tree, but that's a whole nother story. So right now my Warmog isn't really going to be doing much for me because I was an idiot and bought armor when I should have bought another ruby crystal to reach the 2750 threshold. My ultimate's up and I'm looking for a pick outside of the wall with the Vladimir. Throwing my ultimate, I miss it on the Yasuo. Unfortunately, I did use my ult little soon, being greedy. Q in, W, auto attack, stun. I can continue taking very little damage since I do have so much HP, even though I don't have that much armor. Now, if I did have 2750 HP instead of what I have now, I would be healing ridiculously fast right now and I'd be back at full HP. Sejuani isn't the best champion for a beginner since she does jungle with such low HP, especially on her first clear, but if you do figure out how to jungle smart and how to respect certain enemy junglers, you will be winning lots of games with her. She's an absolute menace in the mid and late game. There's very few champions who are tankier than her, maybe Rammus when he's on his W. You really need to get the hang of figuring out where the enemy jungler is, so in the early game, especially if they are an early game jungler, you can avoid them. Because if you do get killed in the early game with Sejuani, it's going to take you forever to scale and you're most likely just going to lose the game. You really just need to stay alive and scale. If you can manage not dying on your first clear, you have pretty good odds of winning the game. I'd say around 55%. Now, if you get even better at Sejuani, realizing when you can and can't gank, and you master her kit, of course that 55% is going to go way up. Avoid dying on your first clear and you'll be winning a lot of games on her. You really should avoid picking Sejuani jungle if your team has a lot of AP already. For example, if our top laner was someone like Rumble or Ryze, I wouldn't pick Sejuani because then Tristana would be the only AD character on our team. But since we have a Tryndamere and a Tristana doing AD damage, the heaps of AP damage that Sejuani brings into the mix is going to be very useful. One last thing I want to mention on Sejuani as I wrap up this video is you really want to avoid picking her whenever the enemy team has a Trundle. If Trundle ults you while your passive is up on Sejuani, you'll lose pretty much 100% of your armor and magic resist, and he will turn into the strongest tank in the game, unkillable in a team fight. As long as the enemy team doesn't have a Trundle or Vayne, you should be good to go on Sejuani. And that is gonna wrap up this video. If you guys enjoyed this commentary guide on Sejuani and you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot and help spread the videos. Thank you for watching. My name is KingStix, and I'll catch you guys out there on the Rift.